first guest as Mary Poppins, Maria Von Trapp, and Victor Victoria. She's also co-authored a new children's book called Dumpy and the Big Storm. Please welcome the legendary Julie Andrews.
Caroline.
Julie Andrews, you look hot.
Thank you.
Look at you.
Amazing what an old pair of leather pants will do, right?
Well, you look fantastic. Now, of course I've loved you in all of your films, but most recently I loved you in The Princess Diaries.
Thank you.
Which I love that movie. I loved it. I love little Anne Hathaway.
Isn't she wonderful?
She's going to be a big star. I love her.
Yes, she's already got 3 more movies under her belt, I think.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And did I go with a child? No, I took my best friend Amanda, who's 37. It was just the two of us.
Good for the child in you, you see.
No, but I loved it. Oh, such a sweet film. And you're an author.
Yes, actually, more and more and more these days.
Dumpy and the Big Storm.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think everybody out there is getting one today.
Oh, very nice. It's for their inner child.
There you are.
And it was inspired by your grandson, Sam?
It was. My daughter and I co-authored the Dumpy series.
This is book 6, right?
This is book 6, and there's more to come, I hope. And in fact, they're already in hand. And she and I got together because my publisher said, do you have anything for very small children? At the same time, she was desperately looking for books that would be appropriate for her little boy, my beautiful grandson, Sam. And she was looking for sort of truck books, but they're all sort of how-to and on the site, and they don't have a little family theme or a little story or a little tiny message.
Right.
And she said, Mom, I'm desperate. And I said, well, if you could buy him any book in the world right now, what would it be, since I'm thinking about writing a children's book? She said, no contest, it has to be about trucks. And I said, well, then let's try to do it together. And that's how Dumpy was born. And Sam's very contributive. He was, you know, practically pre-verbal when he fell in love with trucks, and he's now 5½.
It's amazing how they get fixated on one item, though.
It's either trucks or dinosaurs, I think, for boys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They can tell you a Triceratops, they know them all. Well, this is an adorable book. I love the little pigs on the cover. So what was it like for your daughter growing up with, I mean, Mary Poppins?
With Mary Poppins? Well, she's wonderful about it because obviously it was her reality and she didn't know anything else.
Right.
But there's some funny things along the way that have happened. I mean, there was that day when I had about half an hour to take her to Saks, and actually, it wasn't me. It was somebody else. My best friend was taking her to Saks, and she saw a huge Mary Poppins display, and she went, oh, look, there's Mummy. And a lady was heard to say, oh, that little girl thinks Mary Poppins is her mother. And it was true, you know.
How satisfying for her.
But it's the only thing she's sort of known, and she's terrific about it, and she's now her mother, her own mother, and it's fine.
Did you do most of your own flying in Mary Poppins?
Yeah, in fact, I did literally 98% of it. I did.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Every which way, Caroline.
Really?
I mean, sometimes I was on a teeter-totter, and sometimes I was in a painful harness and you know, dressed under the clothes.
I know, it's painful when they fly you.
Oh, very, yeah.
I was a witch. I know. See the little witch up there?
You had to wear the harnesses too then, right?
Finally, someone I can talk to about flying.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, do people say to you, do people ask you whether you still fly and all of that kind of thing? I have to tell children that I practice very hard, but it's getting harder and harder to fly.
I know, they always ask me if I have real magical powers.
I know.
Yeah, and if it's a child, I say yes, and if it's a man, I say, if I did, I would use them to make you disappear. There you are. All right, let's look at some of these beautiful pictures. Here you are as Mary Poppins.
Oh.
Most beautiful. And here, of course, The Sound of Music. Oh. That must be the movie. Is that the movie that people come up and say, I've seen that movie 300 times?
Well, strangely enough, these days, it's between It's between The Sound of Music and Poppins, and now The Princess
The
Diaries.
Princess Diaries,
because
that
of
will
the
be a
new
classic.
generation, you know?
And you're going to make a second one.
Yeah, we are, next year sometime.
Oh, it's fantastic. I was in Vermont this weekend, where the Von Trapps have the Von Trapp family lodge.
Do they still have it up there?
I don't know if it was because I didn't drive by it, but I remember as a
I know
kid.
Maria Von Trapp has passed on, but I met her a couple of times, and she was a sweet lady. She really was.
Sorry, that whole sentence just blew my mind. You're Maria Von Trapp.
I see.
Don't go away. We will be back with more Julie Andrews. Don't go anywhere. We're back with Julie Andrews, which I love saying. That's right, you heard me. Now, you and Blake Edwards have been married for 32 years?
Yep, 33 this year.
33 this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be. I mean, his films are so hilarious.
They are. And
Is that one of the things that keeps you guys together?
humor is one of the things that's helped us survive and keeps us together. And he has the blackest sense of humor. I call him Blackie, actually.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Well, he has a kind of, when he's being wicked, he has a kind of anthracite twinkle in one eye. And
Oh, I love that.
I know he's going to get me somehow, you know.
I love that you call him Wicket.
Oh, he is wicked, and he's lovely.
Now, I have these crazy little Caroline Ray show cards, talk show cards, because I like asking people just, would you mind? It's a spontaneous question. I promise it's nothing
What do I do?
All you have to do is pick one, and I'll read it for you, and then you have to answer it.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Okay, this is a good one. What was the best advice you ever got?
I ever got? Well, other than, you know, would you please shut up, because I just talk too much. The best advice I ever got, in all honesty, if you want me to be dead straight about it, my singing teacher, my beloved singing teacher, who was my singing teacher for years and years and years, gave me a wonderful quote. And she said, let me see if I can get this right, the amateur works until he gets something right. The professional works until they can't go wrong.
Oh.
And I thought that was a wonderful quote, because
That's a fantastic quote.
It's the difference between doing something wholeheartedly or just playing at it, I think, you know.
Right.
And it seemed like a nice quote to me.
I think that's a brilliant quote.
Yeah, yeah.
I will be writing that down. You had surgery in 1997, is that right?
Yeah.
And for nodules.
That's
We're
right.
not
No,
cancer.
it wasn't nodules.
No, it wasn't nodules?
it was just a little cyst.
It was.
At least that's what they said, yeah.
Right, and as a result of that, you're not able...
Not singing, no.
Not singing.
But I seem to be busier than ever.
I know. Your film career is booming. Can you sing at all now, or
No,
not?
no, I can't, no. And it would be too painful for everybody, and you can hear I'm a little hoarse, so...
Right.
So, I mean, I might be able to do a really deep version of Old Man River, but it somehow just doesn't look like it would fit on me, you know? So,
But you got to think, though, that you've contributed so much to all of these films.
well, thank God it
obviously
happened later in my career than younger, you know? And
Right.
yes, do I miss it desperately, but...
But you've got all these new films, and you've got all these...
that and the wonderful...
And the books.
Books, and a wonderful new publishing imprint that's coming out next year in 2003.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And a mandate to do at least 8 books a year, mine and my daughter's and other people's, and bringing back old books that have long been out of print.
How amazing. Now, I have another question. You have the most killer figure, Julie Andrews. I just have to tell you that. Now, do you work out, or is that just...
As little as I can get away with, Caroline. I mean that.
It was the flying. It paid off.
Well,
That's what it was.
maybe. I don't know. I tell you, there's nothing like an old pair of leather pants. Try it. I mean, it works.
All right, we have one more Caroline Ray question card for you. But that was
Okay.
so beautiful. All right, if you pick the same one.
Well,
pick
no,
one
I'm
more.
going to pick up this one this time, I think. Is that the same?
Okay. What's the worst job you've ever had?
Oh, God.
I sprayed perfume at Bloomingdale's when I first moved to New York, and someone sprayed me back. That was my worst.
No.
Oh, they did. They pulled it right out of their purse and said, I have had it with you people, and they were just all over the place. I'm not
That's
kidding.
terrible. Well, the truth is that I grew up in show business. My
Right.
parents were in vaudeville, and so I knew nothing else but theatre from a very young age.
So you've only had good jobs.
No, I've had terrible jobs at times. One of the worst jobs I ever did, and one of the worst I ever had, was a play that happily never came to London. It folded out of town, but I had to play a Southern belle, and it was all about Lot's wife turning to a pillar of salt, and I just screwed it up all over the place, and it was just a real mess.
Can you do a Southern accent?
Not at all. That's the whole point. You know. I'm hopeless at it.
I can't imagine that you're hopeless at anything.
Yeah, I am.
Thank you so
Believe
much
me.
for coming today. Everyone in our studio audience is getting a copy of Dumpy and the Big Storm. It's sold out. And for people at home, look out for it in your local bookstore. We'll be right back. My name.